Welcome everyone. Let's begin our lesson for today by going over the learning goals and success criteria. First, what are we learning? We're learning how to graph linear inequalities using slope and y-intercept, how to use the correct line and shading for graphs of inequalities, how to graph multiple linear inequalities on the same plane and find their intersection, and how to use multiple inequalities in order to draw conclusions in real-world scenarios. How are we learning it? Through the Systems of Linear Inequalities Part 2 notes and the Systems of Linear Inequalities Part 2 assignment, as well as the I Cracked the Case assignment. When can we use this information? To determine how many of each kind of product you might need to sell to reach a goal profit. How do you know you learned it? By getting a score of 4 on the Systems of Linear Inequalities Part 2 assignment and the I Cracked the Case assignment. Now let's take a look at our agenda for today. We will begin by going over the learning goals and success criteria. While we do that, you'll fill out your Get It Started. After that, we'll go over the Systems of Linear Inequalities Part 2 notes. And then I'll give you time to complete the Systems of Linear Inequalities Part 2 assignment on IXL. Now, if you've already gotten a SMART score of 80 on that IXL activity, you'll go ahead and move on to the I Cracked the Case assignment on Desmos. So you'll work on that one. And then at the end of class, we'll go back over our learning goals and success criteria while you fill out your Before You Go. Your only homework for tonight is to continue working on the Systems of Linear Inequalities study guide and any incomplete assignments that you may have. Let's take a look now at the Systems of Linear Inequalities Part 2 notes. The notes begin with the learning goals and success criteria. Let's take a look at how we graph linear inequalities. Let's look at our rules first. So first, we graph the function just like it was an equal sign. So we plot the y-intercept, use the slope to plot the second point. Then we need to decide what kind of line we need to use. So if they add something extra, they add the bar underneath, we add something extra as well and close the line. If they don't add anything extra, just like this, we don't add anything extra either, and we leave it as an open line. Then we need to decide which side to shade. If it's a greater than symbol, we should shade above the line. If it's a less than symbol, we should shade below the line. Well, with inequalities, we're going to graph them the same way. So just like we did before, we're going to plot the y-intercept, which in this case is -2, so I go down 2 and plot that point. Then I use the slope to plot the second point. Well, this is change in y, so we're going up 1 to the right 2. So we go up 1 to the right 2, plot my point, connect the dots, and now I have my line. Now the difference is we're going to shade where the y values are bigger than the line. So I'm going to look at the y-axis here, and I'm going to see where the line crosses, which is here, and I want all the y's that are bigger than that line. Well, they're all up here, so I'm going to shade that area up there above the line. So the shading is a new aspect of graphing that we need to consider. The other part is what kind of line to use. So similar to before where we talked about the open circle versus closed circle, same thing here. Every inequality gets a dotted line or an open line. Notice there, it's open because there's little spaces in between. So every inequality gets an open line or a dotted line. If they add more to the inequality, we do too. Meaning if they add the bar underneath, then we're going to add to it and make it a solid line. So in this case, we have y is less than x. Well, I'm looking if they added anything extra, meaning that, did they add the bar here? If they didn't, which in this case they didn't, we'll leave it as it is and it stays as a dotted line. Now, here's an example of x is greater than or equal to 2. Now, they did add something extra. They added the bar here. So we'll add to it as well, and we'll make this a solid line or a closed line. So how does that apply to our inequalities? Well, when we graph these, we have y is less than 3/2 x. So we're going to plot the y-intercept first. Notice there is none listed here, so our y-intercept is 0. So I'm going to go here to 0 and plot my point. And my slope is 3/2, so I'm going to go up 3 to the right 2. So I go up 3 to the right 2. Plot my point, and normally I would just connect the dots. But I need to check to make sure I have the correct line, which in this case, they didn't add anything extra, so I don't either, so it should be a dotted line. So there's my dotted line. Now I just need to shade it. So it says y is smaller than the line, so I'm going to go along my y-axis and find where it meets the line, which is here, and I want all the y's that are smaller. All of those are down here, so I'm going to shade everything on this side of the line. Let's look at another example. We have y is less than or equal to negative x minus 3. So again, I'm going to plot my y-intercept first, which is negative 3. So I go down 3 here. And my slope is just negative x, which really is negative 1. So that's negative 1 over 1. So that means I'm going to go down 1 to the right 1 and plot that point. Again, normally I just connect the dots, but I need to make sure I have the correct line. Well, they did add something extra, so we will too. So we're going to have a solid line. And now we just need to shade the graph. It says y is smaller than the line. So I'm going to go along my y-axis and find where they meet, which is here. And I'm going to look at all the y's that are smaller than the line, which are down here. So I'm going to go ahead and shade this area here. And that's how I graph the linear inequality. There's a video here that shows you how to check your work using Desmos after you've already graphed the linear inequality, so you can check it using Desmos. Let's talk now about how to check our work using Desmos when working with linear inequalities. So we're going to let Desmos graph linear inequalities for us so that we can check that against the work that we've done on our activities. So we're going to go to desmos.com and we're going to click on Graphing Calculator. And now we're going to go ahead and enter the inequality that we want to graph. So let's say it's y. Now to do the inequality symbols, we'll go down here to where it says keypad and click there. And here's all your inequality symbols. So let's say it's greater than or equal to. And then we can put in 3/2 x minus 5. And now it graphed the inequality for us. It shows the type of line right here and the shading. Now if it wasn't or equal to, we can see that it creates a dotted line, so it will create the correct type of line, and it will show the shading of where the shading should occur. So that's how you can use Desmos to check your work when dealing with linear inequalities. Now let's talk about how to graph a system of inequalities. So we're going to graph it just like we did the system of equations. So we're graphing both of them at the same time, and then we're going to find the overlap of the shading. So the first one says y is greater than or equal to negative 2/5 x plus 4. So we'll go ahead and plot our y-intercept first. Our y-intercept is at 4, so we're going to go ahead and plot that point. Our slope is negative 2/5, so we're going to go down 2 to the right 5 and plot our point. And they added something extra, so we will too, so we should have a closed line. And it's greater than, so we should shade above. So there's our first one. Then we'll do our second one. Our second one says y is greater than 5x plus 2. So our y-intercept is 2, so we're going to go ahead and plot that point at 2. And our slope is 5, so we're going to go up 5 to the right 1, right there. They did not add anything extra, so we won't either, so it'll be an open line. And it's greater than, so we'll shade above the line, so we'll shade just like this. And what we should notice is we have a blue area, we have a red area, and then we have this purple area. The purple area is the only area that actually matters. That is the part that is the overlap or the intersection. This is the only part that applies to both inequalities. Let's look at another example. We have y is greater than or equal to negative 2/3 x plus 3, and y is less than 3x minus 1. So we're going to plot the first one. So we'll plot our y-intercept at 3, so right there. And our slope is negative 2/3, so we'll go down 2 to the right 3. They added something extra, so we will too, and have a closed line. And it's a greater than symbol, so we're going to shade above. So there's our first one. Now the second one says y is less than 3x minus 1. So we'll go ahead and plot our y-intercept at negative 1. And our slope is 3, so we'll go up 1, 2, 3 to the right 1. They didn't add anything extra, so we won't either. So it'll be an open line. And it's a less than symbol, so we'll shade below. So it'll be here. Again, we have a blue area, we have a red area, and we have a purple area. The purple area is the area that matters. That is the overlap of the two inequalities. Let's look at one more example. We have y is greater than or equal to negative 2x minus 3, and y is less than x. So we'll go ahead and plot the first one. So our y-intercept is at -3. So we'll go ahead and plot our point there. And then our slope is -2. So we'll go down 2 to the right 1 and plot our point. They did add something extra, so we will too. So we'll go ahead and have a closed line. And it's greater than, so we should shade above. So that's over here. So all of that should be blue. Now our second one, y is less than x. So there is no y-intercept, so it's really at 0. And our slope here is really 1. So we'll go up 1 to the right 1, plot our point. They didn't add anything extra, so we won't either. So it'll have an open line. And it's a less than symbol, so we'll shade below. So we shade down here. And we have our blue area, our red area, and our purple area. And the purple area is the intersection of the two inequalities. There's a video here that shows you how to graph systems of linear inequalities in Desmos. So go ahead and watch this video. Let's talk now about how we can use Desmos to check our work when dealing with systems of linear inequalities. First thing we're going to do is go to desmos.com, which is here, and then we're going to go to where it says Graphing Calculator. I'm going to click on that. And on the left side, I can enter the two inequalities that I want to look at. So let's go ahead and put one in. Y is greater than 1/2 x minus 5. So there's my first one. And then I'm going to put my second one in. Y is less than 3x plus 2. Okay, and now we can see where we have our two lines that are drawn. They're both, in this case, dotted. Okay, but that could change depending on the sign. They're both dotted, and we can see that this area up here is all shaded in red. This area here is all shaded in blue, and this area is shaded in purple. The purple area is the part we care about. This is the overlap of the shading. So all of this area here would represent the solutions to the system of inequalities. So, and we can enter this in with any equations, any inequalities, and it will graph it for us and show us exactly where the solution should occur. So that's how you can use Desmos to check your work when dealing with systems of linear inequalities. Let's talk now about how to access your assignments on IXL using SBLink. So what you'll do is you'll click on the link that takes you to your SBLink, which should look like this. And you're going to log in the same way you would log into your computer. So the first part for your username is going to be the first part of your email address without the @sbcusd.ca.us. So it should be your last name, first initial, middle initial, and then the last 4 of your student ID. Then for your password, it's the same password you use to log into your Chromebook. From there, you'll go ahead and click Sign In. And it should take you to a page that looks kind of like this. You're going to go find the link that says IXL, which is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and click on that link. And it should take me to the IXL login page. So it should look like this. At the top right corner, it should say welcome and then your name. If it does not say your name, then you're not logged in and you won't receive credit for your work. As long as this is good, you can go ahead and close that tab out. And then you can go to your Google Classroom. And then you'll go and find the activity, which is here. And I'm going to click on the IXL link right here. And this will take me to the assignment that I need to complete. So that's how you log into your assignments on IXL using SBLink. Let's take a look now at the Systems of Linear Inequalities Part 2 assignment. The assignment begins with the learning goals and success criteria. If we scroll down, there's a link here that will take you to SBLink. This will allow you to log in so that you can access your IXL activity. Once you're logged in, go ahead and return to this page and then click on this link to go to your IXL activity. And it should take you to a page that looks like this. So we're going to go ahead and graph this system of inequalities. So the first one says y is greater than or equal to 3. So I'm going to go to where y is 3, which is here. And notice there's no x value, so x is irrelevant. Y is always 3. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw a horizontal line there. Now to change it between solid and dotted, I just click on the line. So we need to decide what kind of line we need. Well, they added something extra, so we will too. So it's a solid line. Then to graph the next line, we go down here and click on where it says y is less than 9. And now we're going to go ahead and graph this one. So again, y is 9, so I'm going to go here to where y is 9. X is irrelevant. It doesn't exist there. So we just go ahead and draw a horizontal line there as well. Now we need to check to see what kind of line we need. Well, they didn't add anything extra, so we won't either. So it should be a dotted line. And then we're going to go back to the bottom and click Shade. We need to shade the area that's in common. So we want all the area that is bigger than the green line. So all of that is up here. So here and here. So it's all there. And then we need to shade the area that's below the blue line. So that eliminates this part, and it's just this part here. So this is the only part in common. So we'll go ahead and click Submit. It tells us we got it right. Our SMART score goes up, and it gives us another question. So we'll continue to answer these questions until we get a SMART score of 80. If you miss a question, that's okay. Your SMART score will go down a little bit. Just keep answering questions to get your SMART score back up. Once you've completed the assignment and gotten a SMART score of 80, you'll go ahead and go back to your Google form and click Next. This will take you to your Before You Go. Go ahead and fill out your Before You Go and then submit your work on Google Classroom.